Welcome to New Life Live, the premier place to receive free advice from Christian psychologists and counselors for the mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual challenges you face. Since 1988, we've offered compassionate responses that combine God's truth with proven psychological principles to guide you toward healing. Our phone lines are open. Call us now at 1-800-229-3000.
Welcome to New Life Live. I'm your host, Brian Perez. Thank you so much for joining us today. Whether you're listening on the radio or watching us on YouTube, we would love to talk to you. Our number is 1-800-229-3000, and we're doing 2 programs today. So give us a call if you're dealing with depression or loneliness or burnout or stress or anything like that, anxiety, worry. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. Dr. Jill Hubbard will be joining us shortly, but right now I've got Dr. Jim Burns, the founder of Homeward. How you doing, Jim?
Brian, good to be with you.
Yes, always good to see you, sir.
Yes, and life is good. You know,
Happy to hear that.
You know what? This is one of my favorite things I do. I do a bunch of stuff, but I love the New Life callers and the listeners. And I then run into them. You know, I'll be speaking someplace, and they'll go, "New Life Live."
Oh, cool!
Yeah, it's neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what's on your mind these days?
Well, you know, I was thinking about criticism, and you know, even constant criticism, even if it's true, doesn't work one way or the other. That's either us talking to our spouse or our kids or our adult children or, you know, people, or people talking to us. And yet we tend to think that we can just keep on criticizing. So I'm going to teach the magic ratio today.
Okay.
John Gottman, who's a relationship expert, says this, that for every interaction, if you have 5 positive interactions to 1 negative interaction, that's the magic ratio. And yet way too many relationships are more, you know, on the critical side. In fact, the Bible says, do all things without grumbling and complaining. And so even if we're grumbling mindset, we're grumbling about the weather all the time, or we're grumbling about this or that, we have to be careful because that actually is a downer. And so whether we're getting criticized or we are criticizing, we have to be so careful because, you know, that, again, back to the positive interactions versus the negative. I mean, we're going to have negative interactions with people, but it takes a discipline. Gottman goes on to say that if you're 1 negative interaction to 1 positive interaction, that you're actually, if you're married, you're on your way to divorce. You don't have a good relationship with your kids. So we have to be careful to, at times, sometimes just have the discipline to keep our mouth shut when it comes to that. Negativity can kill a relationship, and we just have to flee from it. And again, we get into a mindset. It's kind of a, you know, what they call the self-fulfilling prophecy, where we're getting negative with our kids all the time, or we're getting negative with our spouse or whatever. And then we begin to believe that, and we have to be very, very careful. So I always say that there are problems and patterns. And, you know, problems, we want people to call with their problems. We can help them resolve a problem. Patterns are harder. And it's a pattern of negativity. So I have to ask myself sometimes, what's my negativity patterns? What's my negativity triggers? You know what mine are? HALT. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. It's actually from the recovery movement, but that's when I go negative. If I'm hungry, I get hangry, and I get both of them together. And so I have to sometimes look at my own self and say, why was I in that mood, or what happened there?
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's just one of those 4 things, which are actually really pretty practical, and that we need to take care of ourselves in that way. And then, you know, I need people around me who will teach me my blind spots. My daughter, you know, who has a master's degree in clinical psych, taught me this. Awfulize, it's a new word. It's in the dictionary. And awfulize means it's a verb. It's the person that imagines the situation will be as bad as it can be. Well, awfulizers, if you're an awfulizer today, you got to work on that because you've got people running from you and they may not be telling you that.
Yes.
So we have to be careful with that. So we have to learn to kind of keep our mouth quiet, but also be positive.
So if you are an awfulizer, we can help you recover by calling us at 1-800-229-3000. You know, what's funny, the thing about grumbling, I just wanted to add this really quick, is sometimes it comes across as just that long sigh when you walk by somebody and they just... and they're just trying to get you to ask them what's wrong, because then they want to go into their complaint.
Sure.
And it's just like, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Give us a call, though. We're going to be here for 2 hours today with Dr. Jim Burns and Dr. Jill Hubbard. 1-800-229-3000. Hop on in.
Here at New Life, we want you to have transformation. And so we have created the New Life courses, and you meet weekly on Zoom with a coach or counselor. You're going to have teaching as well as that group connection, because we know how powerful that is. We hear that all the time about our intensives, that they love the information, but the group process is so powerful. And many of you have been hesitant to participate because you're not sure, the timing, the price. The New Life courses are going to meet you right at that area of need. Every week you're meeting on Zoom with that therapist. You're going over the concepts as well as connecting as a group. It is so powerful, and it's accessible. Wherever you are, you're going to be able to join us.
Embark on your journey of personal growth and self-discovery in April with a New Life course. Lose It for Life, Grief Recovery, or Divorce Recovery. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Here we go. We're going to go right to the phones, starting in Raleigh, North Carolina. Here is Elizabeth, who's watching us on YouTube. Let's wave to Elizabeth. Welcome to the program, Elizabeth. Thanks for calling in today.
Thank you so much. I'm upset and very nervous, so forgive me, please. I have a problem with my daughter. I'm estranged for more than a year now. I've had counseling. I've talked to my pastor. I even called Dr. Henry Cloud. And they all say, you're a sweet person. Just adopt other grandchildren to love. But my biggest question is, the children heard the awful things my daughter said to me. And I know it had to have been trauma for them. And then suddenly, I've gone, and she throws me out of their house, which I helped them buy. And I haven't talked or seen them since. That was a year and 3 months ago.
Wow.
And my biggest question, my daughter's done this off and on. She happens to be a pastor, but she's great in the pulpit, but in life she's really hard on her children, and she's always been hard on me. And I'm not allowed to say one word. I'm very careful when I'm around her, walking on eggshells. But this last visit I had with them, and the other problem is they're in another country. They're in Europe. So it's not like we'll ever sit down with a counselor and talk. And she's been there 20 years now. She's never coming home, I don't think. And she says even when I die, she doesn't care. She won't come home.
Wow.
Oh, my goodness. Is this your only child, Elizabeth?
Yes, only child.
Only child, so your only grandchildren, too.
Yeah, even...
so you've never held them? You've never spoken to them? You've never seen them in person? Okay. No, sir, I've been with them. And a year ago, Easter, it was Easter of 23, I hadn't seen them for 5 years. And so I flew over, and I usually would try to go every other year, and they would come home at Christmas, but then she stopped. She got mad at me, which she does. And then when she gets mad at me, she throws me away. And so when I was there that Easter, things were good until the very last day, and she was screaming in the face of the children, which she has a bad temper. And she looked at me like, what? You got something to say? Like daring me. And I said, it just hurts me that this is what the children are going to remember, not the fun games you play with them or whatever. This is what they're going to remember. How old are the grandkids, and is your daughter married? Yes, to a man in the country. He's a natural citizen. And he's always been kind to me, but this last time, a year ago, Christmas, he was not. And I feel like she's bullied him now to the point that
he always sides with her.
Wow.
Even though it's wrong. And I'm not trying to sound perfect, but I'm a very kind, generous person, and I've only done good for her. But there's such resentment and contempt.
Yeah.
Elizabeth,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. This is just heartbreaking. You do sound like a very kind person. Do you think you may have been too kind and too generous with your daughter?
Yes, probably. Her
Okay.
dad and I divorced when she was 3, but he used to beat me, and I left after he broke my arm. Because I was afraid it would start on her, you know.
Yes.
But she's natured very much like him, and he's dead now, so he's a hero, you know. So everything I do is wrong. And until she got to high school, I got notes and letters all the time about I was the best mother in the world, you know, and her friends would hang out at our house because they loved me. And then I don't know what changed in high school, but she's the epitome of a narcissist, and I hate to even use that word. It's strung away so much, but she is. And being in the pulpit is ideal for her. It's like she performs,
Yeah.
and then she comes home and she's back to, you know, the Jekyll
Right.
and Hyde thing.
Jim, any
And I've
thoughts?
read Dr. Burns' book, you know, the adult children doing life, but we don't actually do life together.
Right.
It's like
Right.
I don't exist.
Yeah. You know, I have a
biggest
question. When she got mad at
Okay.
you, was there an issue? Do you know what the issue is that's causing the estrangement?
This time, it started out the very first day I was there, and I knew that she was in a snit at the airport when I first saw them. And I just thought, well, maybe she's stressed. It was cold and, you know, lots of snow and all. I thought she's just stressed. But the next morning, everybody left to go to school and to their jobs, and I was there alone, which that, you know, I've been in this country many times. But it was a different house, and there was a gentleman that came to the door, and he was selling something that I thought that maybe they had called him about to come to their home, but there was nobody to ask. And so it was so cold, and I invited him in and offered him some warm tea and told him they were gone. Could he leave me a card and that kind of thing? Well, they came home while he was there, and they just both were irate with me. They said that in this country, solicitation to homes is not allowed,
Okay.
and that I did the wrong thing by inviting him in.
Yeah.
And I explained, you know, he was cold, it was windy, and below zero outside. And I mean, I'm from the South. That's what I do. I didn't know it was against the law, but
Sure.
they acted like I just done something horrible. And so they said from that point on that they accused me of lying, saying that I told them I invited him in, which was true.
Yeah.
And I told him that he was standing close to the door, which was true. I didn't lie to them about anything, but they said they called him, and he said that I wanted him to come in. He didn't ask me.
Okay.
And that's true. He didn't ask me.
What do you guys
Anyway,
think?
it's just
So-
whatever I did, it was a lie.
Yeah, so Elizabeth, it sounds like you can't really do anything right here.
No,
And
never.
you have said that your daughter, unfortunately, is a lot like her dad. And your husband took advantage of you. That's what she saw in her early years. And sometimes
Yes.
what happens is someone will identify with the aggressor because it's a more
Yes.
powerful position. And they certainly don't want to be in the position of the victim who looks weak. And I think even way back, there is probably resentment towards you because you were
Yes.
weak. Now, yeah, you're actually, quite strong because you've endured a lot. But I think your daughter may have perceived you as weak and has taken on that attitude with you, unfortunately, throughout the years. Yeah. And that it's very sad because now everything is about her kind of being in control and having the power. There's a book that I don't think we carry, and I forget who it's by. It's the Walking on Eggshells book that might also be helpful for you because, I'm hearing different types of traits. Let's just say that. And someone who, I mean, you mentioned narcissism. Certainly, there can be some narcissism in there, and she gets fed, by the crowd of the congregation. At the same time, this all or nothing and volatile, emotional, that can also fall into another category of like borderline traits. And so sometimes people have a combination of borderline narcissistic. It's kind of a flavor where they have a whole gamut of those symptoms and traits, and it's very hard to deal with. And when someone is this all or nothing, shutting you out, inviting you in and then shutting you out, the hard part is that you really have to have firm boundaries with people like this, and that's hard to do because there's such fear. So not firm boundaries in that you have to, come on really aggressive and strong like they are, but just, that works for me, that doesn't work for me. And you have to be very clear with your no. And they will get mad at that at first and try to get you to acquiesce and be, the weak victim. But I think just very, kind and matter-of-factly, we have to say, well, yes, that works for me. No, that doesn't work for me. And I think having some, other people around you, I hope you have a good support system where you can talk through these issues. Your daughter is so far away, and so obviously the contact is right now is none. So the other thing is, you can certainly write your daughter a letter and express some things in terms of, it's always good to offer, if I've done anything to offend you, I want to take responsibility for that. Right. Now with her, everything offends her, and you can't do anything right. So you know that. But just expressing your care, your love for her, while at the same time, you realize that you and she are very different and that there were some hurts early on in her life that you have great regret about.
Jim, any thoughts from you?
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
I know.
And, 27% of adult children are estranged from at least one family member. And unfortunately, that's your story right now. And, and you can't be defined by this. It's not probably about you, to be honest. With what you're saying, my goodness, even you showed care. Now, again, you could just, simply what happens is what would have been right is you say, well, I'm so sorry, I didn't know this was, what was going on. You probably did that. And then they come at you. That's not fair. I want to make sure that your counselor is helping you work on the estrangement issues. For example, I have in front of me, I just went on my iPad to look for it. I just interviewed somebody on my podcast, her name, and there's two people who are kind of the leaders in the world of estrangement. And one is a woman named Tina Gilbertson. And if you look her up, she's written a book called Reconnecting.
I listen.
Okay.
Yeah. I listen to her. I listen to podcasts every day, every night.
And what's good about you doing that is it's giving you the practical tools, like what Jill said. When Jill said write a letter, there's another guy who is one of the key people. Again, neither one of these people come from a deep faith background, although because I interviewed Tina, we talked about faith, and she's very open to it in terms of dealing with it. But none of the books are like, I would say, Christian publishers. But Joshua Coleman literally tells you how to write that letter, because there's really kind of a way of doing it and a way of not doing it. And so those are the two. Okay, yeah.
From both of them.
Okay, both those names. Well, you're doing the work. So we want to affirm you for doing that work. And then when Jill, I'm bouncing off of what Jill said because I think it was so good. One is, the letter could be it could be a love letter. It's not the time to say, I don't understand. You've hurt me. Look at what I've done for you. I've written, I've helped buy your house, all that kind of stuff. None of that. Bingo. Now make it about her, to be honest, in terms of I'm sorry if I have offended you, blah, blah, blah. Secondly, you may need to be a part of the reconnection club or, things like that of people who are trying to reconnect with their estranged kids. Or literally even here at New Life, we have some small group where people might have the same experience with you and as you have. And Elizabeth, that could be very helpful. So I think you're doing the work. It just takes time.
Well, it's the long game.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I've had people that write letters to their grandchildren and then hold on to them.
Yeah.
So that someday when they are able to reconnect, they can say, I was thinking about you at all these times, like sharing life lessons or things you would want to share with your grandkids.
And sometimes even when they're estranged, they will say, yeah, you can still write to my
that's
children.
true too.
And that may be something that Elizabeth wants to do.
Or send a card. Or
Sarah, Mary, everyone else, we'll get to you when we come back here on New Life Live.
Hello, everybody. It's Becky Brown, and I just want to encourage you to be part of our spring match. It's like planting seeds in the lives of so many people. Every gift that you give to the match will be doubled up until $500,000. Isn't that amazing to think about all the lives that God can touch through your generosity and through this matching gift campaign? I know you want to be part of this match, and you can do that by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You can go to newlife.com/donate. You can also text the word match to 28950. I can't wait to see what God's going to do through your generosity. It will make a difference in the lives of so many people. Thank you in advance. To give to the match, text the word match to 28950, or you can go online at newlife.com, or you can always call us 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
For over 35 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addiction, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
I found a counselor through New Life Ministries, and it's just been outstanding.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first steps toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door for a better tomorrow.
To get someone that's confident, that's good at what they do, it's been like day and night compared to what I've had before.
Call 1-800-639-5433. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
So our previous caller, Elizabeth, we want to send you a tip sheet. It's called Broken Family Ties, How to Heal from Estrangement. We'll email that to you, and hopefully that will help you with the situation that you're dealing with right now, which is so sad. Jill, really quick, you mentioned that it could be that Elizabeth's daughter is against her because she saw her father as the more powerful one, and she saw her mom as weak. So it's interesting to me that the daughter would see what happened to Elizabeth, including a broken arm. I don't know if she saw that part or not.
Yeah,
but
we don't
I'm sure
know
she did.
to the extent. Yeah.
But you would think that she would have more compassion on Elizabeth because of what she went through.
Yes, and that is one way that people go. But the other way is that identifying with the aggressor. And here you have the complication of the dad died. They divorced, so maybe she's mad at mom for leaving dad. And if she had a connection with dad that was even better than mom and dad's connection, which likely it was, and she's the only child, only daughter, extension of him, well, then she was the princess. And then, he went away. It's mom's fault. Mom's weak. So There is that vision that she has of her mom of disrespect that was sewed in by Dad at an early age.
I think that could be a mic drop, bingo. I was telling you, Brian, that before the show that I've read 2 books in the last 2 weeks on estrangement, of all things. And one of the major things it talks about is divorce.
Yeah.
That they'll side, and sometimes they side with kind of, we would say,
the
wrong party.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think sometimes that's something that, and what can you do about that? And now when he's passed on, you know.
Well, right. And see, she was safer with Mom because Mom is so nice.
Right.
Mom's always there.
Right.
Dad was more elusive, right? And then he died. So, yeah.
Wow, that's a hard one. Complicated.
Yes,
that's why we need counsel, and I feel like what Elizabeth is doing when she's saying, "Oh, I've read that book, I've done that." I mean, that's kind of what we do. It doesn't make all of our problems go away, but when we have the tools, then we can kind of understand it. And she said at the very beginning, we didn't unpack this, is that she said her one of the therapists or whoever she had talked to said, just go find other grandchildren. That's a rough one.
That is a rough one.
I mean, I get that, and there is a part of that at church, maybe you're holding babies and loving on them, and you can, but you still want to try to keep the relationship together. And the good news about estrangement is that many times, you said it's the long game, and many times in the long game, even people who have problems like her daughter possibly has, they kind of go, aha, I want relationship with Mom. They have their own moments.
Yes, they do. And as her children get older, the thing that's so interesting is they never think that their children will be estranged from them, even though they're estranged from their own mom. Yeah. And they're teaching that behavior.
No, and that is something that you see. It
Absolutely.
repeats.
And so when their children get enough courage, or her children, to push back, now this is the long game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then there's also some awareness.
Yeah, you're right.
1-800-229-3000 is the number to call us today, and we're going to do 2 programs, so we would love to hear from you. Right now we're going to go to Dallas. Here is Sarah, listening on KWRD. Welcome, Sarah, to New Life Live.
Oh, hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to jump right into it and try to keep it short and sweet. This is a work situation where, and it has triggered anxiety for me, and that's a struggle that I have anyway. But a couple of days ago, there was a conversation I was having with a coworker, and as I turned my head, my boss was. It looked to me, appeared they were listening, and as they were listening, there was another coworker standing next to them, and I looked over, and it was like, when someone is caught. Like, ooh, he was shaking his head no, and the coworker standing next to him, jumped up and walked quickly away. And so I thought, was I saying something I shouldn't have been talking about? And so I went up to him. He walked away. And I went up to him a little bit later. I'm like, hey, I saw you, and, what was that all about? Oh, nothing. We were just talking about, something else, and I was just not agreeing, shaking my head. But then the behavior was, he avoided me like the plague for the next couple of days. And so at the end of the day, on Friday, we have off this week for spring break, but at the end of the day, I purposely told him and the other boss, bye, y'all have a great spring break. But I've been struggling. I've been ruminating on this, and it triggers anxiety. I don't know what to do with it.
How long have you been at this job?
This is my second year, going on my second year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've always had the same boss?
No. It is, I work in the public school system, so I've had within the school system other jobs and positions, and I tend to have left positions when I'm hurt. And so I'm feeling some anxiety. I'm feeling hurt, and I don't want to repeat. I'm trying to be an overcomer, so to speak, in this area.
Well, you've called the right place, Sarah. Thank you. We're going to come back to you in just a few minutes because it is time for us to take a break, but we will discuss this further with Dr. Jim Burns and Dr. Jill Hubbard. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to call if you've got something that you'd like to talk about. Get it off your chest. 1-800-229-3000.
Restore gave me strength. It gave me more belief in my faith. I met up with a group of women that are going through things that they had no control over.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
When two people want to do their part, we can be restored. But if they don't, we can still be restored. We are not stuck because someone else made a decision. That God lets us weigh in on how we want to walk out our lives. Our wellness does not hinge on another person's decision.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, May 2nd through the 4th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
I had a great experience at Restore.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Club New Life changes lives.
I think I go way back to listening to New Life, learning so much from it, and then becoming a Club New Life member.
Club New Life is a monthly giving family that helps New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people.
You know, I'm so thankful because you know why I keep giving? Because I keep learning, and I'm so thankful for all the lives that you touch every day and the people's lives. So when I get to still hear the radio show, it's just so encouraging to my heart.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
And you know one reason I give? Because I feel like sometimes I'm hiding behind a counselor's couch listening to all this great information and not paying, so my guilt of this great advice is alleviated by being a Club New Life member.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. And together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
That's the number Sarah called, 1-800-229-3000. She's on the phone with us right now. We're talking to her about her situation at work. She's got a boss that she believes is eavesdropping on her conversations. It's triggering anxiety inside of her. And where do you think we want to go next, Dr. Jim?
Hey, you know, Sarah, I want to give you praise because I think you actually did this right. And sometimes we just need to hear it. But the truth is, you confronted him in a nice way. You said, is there anything, you know, you were standing there, is there anything you need to talk to me about? Because then what you're saying is, I noticed that you were listening, but you didn't go crazy on it. Okay, so you basically said, look, is there anything? And he chose not to tell you whatever he was doing. He probably was listening, or maybe he wasn't. But the fact is, you know, I think you talked about being an overcomer, and you are. That's great. I think you might be overthinking this quite possibly because, so maybe he's just not a good boss and maybe he's not somebody who's going to be friendly to you or whatnot. But you kind of put him on notice when you did that. So as much as I'm concerned about your anxiety, I'm also concerned that sometimes anxiety comes from things that we are thinking that may not necessarily be happening. And so I think you did the right thing. I honestly think that sometimes we just have to say to our bosses, if we thought something like that was happening, and saying, hey, is there anything we need to talk through? Are you okay? And then if they go, there is, then take that. He's not going to be your best friend. He's not going to be the person you're going to confide in, things like that. And if that's something that is constant, then yeah, I mean, you've had other times when you've had to leave or you've left because you didn't like the situation. So this one may be that, but it also may just be that you've had these other experiences, and so you're feeling more sensitive. I have a sense that you're probably a very sensitive person. Are you?
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, sure.
That is the case.
The beauty of people, my wife's sensitive, and the beauty of my wife, I'll move from you to my, but the beauty of that is that she's absolutely one of the most sensitive, caring people I've ever met in my life. But also, sometimes she'll overthink because she's going, well, that person's was listening to me and they probably don't like me and they're going to write me up or something. Well, that's not the case.
Well, that's creating your own narrative, taking
Yes.
a few facts, right? Overthinking it and creating a whole story that then mirrors your greatest fears.
And I bet you get that in counseling.
Oh, a lot.
So that's something you want to look at, Sarah, in your own life, because if you're creating a narrative that really didn't happen, it didn't go farther than that. You just happen to have a boss who's not very friendly when you say, have a great spring break.
Well,
I don't know that, but you got to think through that.
I mean, a couple of things, Sarah. Was your conversation interesting? Versus he's checking up on you because he thinks you're not working hard or not doing things right. There could be a lot of reasons why he was listening to you, or he thinks that people, chit-chat too much and aren't doing their work. Right?
Maybe he thinks they're talking about him.
He could be a little bit paranoid.
Yeah.
Yes, you're so right. Right? And he's trying to protect, kind of himself, because it is interesting that he's embarrassed now and avoiding you. Right? So clearly he knows he was doing something that came across as not okay. So he may have his own self-esteem issues.
Yeah, you kind of caught him, but you did it in a nice way. So hopefully he doesn't keep doing that.
Yeah, hopefully not. But, I'm going to, something earlier when the school year started, he complimented me and was like, you are a kick-butt secretary. Just, you're doing great. And then not so much anymore, and just some weird situations. But I get it. Am I perceiving it correctly? I know I have to check myself.
Well, right. And are you his direct assistant?
Pretty much. I support him.
Okay.
The campus, the admin. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. Well, and if you've noticed multiple things and shifts, I mean, you did, say something to him, but at some point you might say, I just want to make sure that I'm still doing a good job for you. And are there any concerns that you have? Because I noticed you were really, feeling good about the work I was doing, and lately I'm not so sure. So can I just check that out with you?
Okay.
And even say it the way Jill said it. It was kind of casual. It wasn't like, you didn't come across, she didn't come across like you're accusing him of anything. Yeah. It was just, hey, what? We haven't had a conversation about this. Boom. And that could be very enlightening to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Should we send her a copy of 100 Days to Freedom from Fear and Anxiety? This seems to be like a recurring
Sure.
issue.
Yeah. Sounds great.
Okay. Sarah, we're going to send that to you if you'll hold on. And for your boss, maybe we'll send him a copy of Understanding Your Kick-Butt Secretary. Maybe he just doesn't know how to deal with you. I don't know. But Sarah, stay on hold. Thanks for calling us today at 1-800-229-3000. And now we're going to go to Ross in Iowa, who's listening to us online. Hi there, Ross. Thanks for calling 1-800-229-3000.
You're welcome.
What's going on? How can we help you today?
Long story short, I'm sure you already know, because I'm sure the young lady I talked to on the phone took the information and gave it to you. Who am I speaking with?
Well, you're on with me. I'm Brian Perez, and Dr. Jill Hubbard and Dr. Jim Burns are here too.
Okay, thank you guys. I'm an older guy. Long story short, been on the farm for, not all my life, but most of my life. And I understand the birds and the bees, but I don't understand why batteries on some people work better than others. Does that make any sense to you? I'm happily married.
Think so.
But my wife's battery doesn't work very well. Mine doesn't want to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Does that make any sense?
Yes, it makes sense to me.
Totally.
It makes sense to me.
Thank
so
you for keeping
guys,
it G-rated.
Yes. You guys have different levels
Libidos.
Of interest.
Sure.
Yeah.
And a libido, right? We're talking.
Libido, you got it.
Yep.
Okay. Just checking on that battery illustration.
Yes. So what are your approximate ages?
We're in our mid-80s.
Okay.
You're supposed to quit, isn't it?
Not necessarily. No.
Yeah,
and how long have you guys been married?
Right, Jill. This one doesn't want to quit.
Yeah.
My eyes. I don't need my eyes. It says in Scripture, if your eye offends you, click it out. I said, okay, turn your head. That's the best I can do right now, and I don't know what else to do.
How long have you guys been married, Ross?
62.
62 years. Wow. And when did this start? Has it always been like this between the two of you?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
In fact, no. But now the last sorry, sir. The last time I don't like to say anything because I get no, and when you say stuff and you get no, that's worse than not saying anything. So you don't say anything.
Mm.
And long story short, I've got to figure the story. Anyway, the story was that I really don't need this anymore.
That's what she said to you?
The other party.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
And how long ago was that, approximately?
Maybe
5 years?
December-ish.
Oh, this past year. Okay. So it's been a few months.
I have some great news for you, Ross. There's actually answers to this. You know, when people come in to a counselor with this kind of an issue, a lot of times there's some help if they're willing to be open and honest. You know, the word intimacy means connection. And there are blocks to physical intimacy. And again, when people are older, their libidos change. But that doesn't, you know, she made a statement even when she said, you know, I don't need this anymore, but you do. Mm-hmm. And so you guys have been married for 62 years. So, you know, I have a feeling that she might be willing to go and talk with somebody. And you know what? Counselors like this. You've been married for 62 years. And, you know, she had that conversation with you not that long ago. So they might really be able to help you. What I find with any kind of with what we call, you know, sex and passion killers or things like that. If the plumbing's not working or things like that, that can be fixed. But also sometimes there's just, again, somebody who talks with people like you all the time. I mean, it's awkward for most of the time for people to have a conversation about sexuality, but it's not with a counselor because a counselor hears this all the time.
There are therapists that specialize in that.
Exactly. And they're really good. And that's what I would do. I would not just have the conversation with her because she may think that you're putting her down or, talking down to her. But there really is help for this. And
and I think it is important, Ross, to tell her that you understand that things have changed for her, but they haven't for you. And that would she be willing to explore that with you? And that if you are not meeting some of her needs on an emotional level, you want to explore that. Because you certainly want her to feel safe with you and close.
Yeah.
And so you want to work on your overall intimacy, not
and
just
emotional
physical
intimacy oftentimes precedes
especially for women.
Physical intimacy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for calling in today. We've got more calls to get to, and we can use a few more. 1-800-229-3000 is the number to. Yeah, especially because we're going to be here for 2 hours today.
Yes.
So Janice, Alyssa, Mary, everyone else that wants to call in, do it now. 1-800-229-3000.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 Steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
New Life believes that everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. If you're interested in learning more about life recovery, a great way is to watch the Life Recovery Today TV program or subscribe to the Life Recovery Today podcast. Episodes of both come out on Tuesdays. That's right. Today is Life Recovery Today Tuesday. Find all the connection details at liferecoverytoday.com or .net. Which one is it? One of those. I will check. I will verify. You can also join a life recovery group. There are groups meeting online and in person across the country, or plan to join us October 4th. We're going to have an online conference called Choosing Wisdom. That's a few months down the line, but just put it on your calendar now. Flip those pages or go on your phone and scroll over to October on your phone calendar and type in for October 4th the Choosing Wisdom online conference.
We all need to attend.
I think we should.
that we didn't get invited to.
Yeah,
attend.
I know, exactly. I'm kind of wondering about this.
You guys aren't the keynote speakers or anything?
Apparently not.
1-800-229-3000 is the number to call, and we've got lots of great questions here on the board. We're going to begin with Alyssa, who is in Florida. Welcome to New Life Live. Alyssa, are you there? Hi, there you are. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I was trying to collect some eggs.
Aren't we all?
I have a question. I want to know how I can help my mom. She's currently in a really bad co-parenting situation. One of my sisters is staying with her, and the other one is separated with her father. And she's basically isolated and away from all of us, doesn't want to talk to us. So my mom's depressed. She's grieving, and she also doesn't want to come around me or the grandkids. So I want to know how I can bring some peace and wisdom in this situation.
What do you guys think? Or do you have more questions for Alyssa?
So,
need more background?
Alyssa, these are your half-sisters? You're from a different marriage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how recent was the divorce for your mom?
I want to say it's been a few years at least, like maybe 6 or 7 years.
Okay, so it's been a while, and mom has been depressed and grieving ever since? Or she's depressed and grieving over sisters?
The sister with the dad. It's probably been a couple months, like maybe 6 months since she's seen her.
Okay.
Like an incident happened in the home, and she just went to her father's and didn't talk to us and hasn't come back. It's a whole court thing, and it's just taking a lot of time to get resolved.
Okay. So she's feeling afraid that maybe she's lost this daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's understandable. And when there is a divorce situation, and maybe you know this from your own growing up, it's really easy when you get mad at one parent to go to the other. And how old is this sister, by the way?
14 and 13, so the 13-year-old's with the dad.
Oh, okay. The 14-year-old is with the dad. Okay. Yeah, and especially at this age. With our moms, we get most of what we need from them in those first years, right? Getting up to the teenage years. And then there is that desire to move out into the world, and that's what dad is good at. So if mom is holding on in any way and keeping your sister feeling young, because we moms often make our kids feel young when they're wanting to feel old. And at 14, she's branching out. So I would help your mom to first see what transpired and to maybe evaluate that. Is there anything that your mom did in the process to maybe not hear your sister that contributed to sister leaving. And then she did do something. Okay. So okay. So it's important for your mom to own that. And even though your sister probably has her own issues, to find a way to apologize for that. That would be an important thing to do. And then, okay, sister is spreading her wings and going to try living with dad. I mean, do you think it's going to be that great living with dad?
I mean, she seems happy. My problem is she acts like the rest of the family is dead. Like, I don't get responses from her. She's just living her own life now. There's not much forgiveness going on
her side.
Yeah.
What was the issue over, Alyssa? What caused the breaking apart?
A physical altercation. It wasn't anything abusive per se that I was physically there. However, I don't agree with what my mom did, and part of that's like in our relationship too. But I know my mom's not abusive, so.
Is her daughter calling her abusive?
Yes.
Because that happens so many times with teens. They use that word loosely, and that part doesn't work. I've spent my life thinking about teens, and the fact is that even when you look at girls, they're very close to their mom. They get to be about 13 and they start spreading their wings. And what's kind of cool is sometimes they come back 17, 18, and I thought, in terms of our own life, one of our daughters, I thought they are never going to get along with their mom, and they're best friends now. So there is some good news to this, that the long run, it can work probably, but I want to focus on you for a second. You got to make sure you're not just trying to be the fix-it person, get yourself in the middle of this. Number two, you got to ask yourself, what is your role in this? Because your role may be to, be a listener, and listening is the language of love. And, kids that age, you're the older sister. So kids that age, sometimes that's not where you're going to give advice per se. You're not going to try to make it all better in one moment. But, your mom is going to have to learn that she is in it. I love that Jill always uses the word the long game, that, she's in it for the long game. And that a lot of times those kids do, they do come back. And especially if the mom has done if she, did something silly, if she's done the apology and things like that. But the truth is that in the teenage years, right at age 13, 14, 15, the exact ages that, these girls are, they could be all over the place. And sometimes it's even better for them to be with dad for a short time, as long as dad's not abusive or dad's not, doing horrible things. And sometimes it makes them feel, after a while, they go, oh gosh, I want to be back with mom. I want a relationship with mom. So I would make sure mom does not give up. But again, you'll have to be careful that you don't just jump in the middle and try to make it all better, because this kind of stuff happens.
Well, right. And if sister perceives you as just trying to fix things for mom, then she's not going to let you in.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But I think you need to approach it and say, hey, I'm not on mom's side or dad's side. I'm on your side, and I want to connect with you.
Yeah.
Please, can we just meet? I want to hear how you're feeling in all of this. And I think, unfortunately, this may be a wake-up call for your mom in terms of her own behavior that she's needing to change.
Right. Sometimes the other thing I was going to say is, sometimes, as Jill was saying, if you meet with them, you honestly may have to put some time into, getting, coffees together and letting them talk about whatever they're going through in their life at school, and they don't even bring it up. So you don't want to jump too hard into this, because I find that with teenagers, sometimes the easiest way is like I have 3 daughters. So when they were that age, I would go out to lunch with them or breakfast, and 4 times we didn't talk about anything serious. And then boom, next thing you know, they're like, they're spilling
you got to connect.
Yeah.
First.
So part of it is the connection side. And what happens sometimes with moms or older sisters is they push on something too fast. Well, then that just makes the teen back away. So sometimes you just talk about, more of nothing,
Right.
even though you have an agenda, but the agenda's working. It's just going to work down the road.
Sandra, you're next here on New Life Live. We're going to do another hour. Keep the calls coming. 1-800-229-3000.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video? And please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE. But when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.